revenue from, or from the state will be used to pay and control of the police. It will be well controlled because of the small nature.
If we have this community policing, it's going to help to control the rate of abnormalities going on in our community. So I think with that, it's okay. We can make a headway through that.
There's one thing about the Nigerian police system, and that is the fact that everybody is afraid of giving out any information. Even when you know something is going on somewhere, you will be scared of saying this is what is happening. Why? Because at the end of the day, the police may come back to say you are part of the thing, or they will say you know about it, that's why you came on. But to be able to get this community policing done and to be able to create more security in our communities, it has to be between the police system and the people.
Quite interesting and informed opinion expressed by respondents there. Victor Azu, many thanks to you. To discuss community policing, let me quickly introduce our guests here in the studio. Let me begin with His Excellency Simon Bako Lalong, Executive Governor of Plateau State and Chairman, Northern Governors Forum. Your Excellency, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
All right. We also have here with us Peter Babatunde Ogunyawo, who is Deputy Inspector General of Police, Research and Planning. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we also have a regular familiar face, Kabiru Adamu, is a security risk management expert. Kabiru, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Claire. Good morning.
Okay, and joining us via Skype from Akure, the Ondo State capital, I would like to, at this stage, welcome His Excellency, that's the Executive Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, Learned Senior Advocate of Nigeria. A pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, well, just before we get into the details of the concept of community policing, let's begin by asking the state chief executives, who are also the chief security officers of their respective states, what is the nature of crime and criminality or security challenges that you are facing in your domain now that makes community policing an attractive option in addition to the regular policing and security architecture we already have?
Thank you very much, Kingsley. For me, let me say that Plateau State was already doing community policing, because when we had protracted crisis in our state from 2000 to up to 2006 or 2007, I remember that the president at that time created what we knew as Operation Rainbow. So what was Operation Rainbow? Operation Rainbow was an outfit, quite different from the normal security arrangement. And so in that case, because governors were complaining, yes, they are still complaining, that yes, we have the police in our place, we have governors as chief security officers. But in most cases, when they give order, the commissioner of police will say, I will wait and take my order from Abuja. So by the time you take an order, you see conflicting orders. So governors were beginning to wonder whether they are really chief security officers. And when that crisis came, the federal government gave Plateau, I think it was Plateau and Kaduna also, to establish an outfit. That outfit was now known as Operation Rainbow. Now the Operation Rainbow was a collaboration or a mixture of, there was police controlled by police, there was police, there was the defense, the civil defense, the DSS, combination of the three. And then in every ward, in every local government, up to the ward and to the state, there were people who were now employed by the state, civilians, hunters, vigilante groups, and all of them were screened by the police. They will be screened by the police, and their purpose was to gather intelligence and give the police. Now the entire funding of it was by state, because I know even up to today, Plateau State has about six APC. Police don't have. They don't have.
I'm sorry to interject.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interject. Kingsley asked the nature of the crimes and criminalities in your area that has made this an extra or a need for, another model of policing. What is the nature of the crimes, that goes on in your area?
Well, I think not only in my area, especially talking about the north, you know that even before the Boko Haram thing, and after Boko Haram, the crimes are beginning to increase from one level to the other. From mere cattle rustling, it is now banditry. From banditry is kidnapping, and is kidnapping. And so most of it you find ethnic, and also you find religious, and a lot of these crimes. So at the point, we believe that we are thinking that as you nip this one in the bud, you are okay. But as you nip one, another one is re-emerging. So it is like generally there's no control. There's no control, because from cattle rustling we move to kidnapping. From kidnapping we are moving to banditry. So when you get to that level, and I think the danger is that many of our younger ones are being recruited. The younger people who are not working, because unemployment, yes, is also part of it. Many of them were involved. I went to Nasarawa when we had the summit there. And out of 100 bandits, many of them were saying, we don't have jobs to do. And so it was very easy, became easy prey when we were invited to come and start doing the business of kidnapping and kidnapping. So when I saw that, I was really afraid. I said, let me go back. And that's why we adopted the community policing. Let's make everybody a police.
Okay, let's pause you for a while.
Thank you.
And also get the opinion of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ondo State on this. Your Excellency, again, would also like you to tell us why a different model of security checks has become inevitable for you in your state.
Well, thank you. Let me be clear about this. Firstly, we had said that community policing, it will be embraced by all of us, at least in Ondo State and other states of Western Nigeria. We have no problem about community policing. But we have also gone ahead to adopt in our respective states the Amotekun security network. This has become very necessary because of the peculiarities of our own terrain. We are largely areas that are so much forested. We have what we call afforestation cutting across, and we meet and crisscross among ourselves. And we found out that lately, most of these crimes of kidnapping, of banditry, the herdsmen and farmers clashes, all these things happen inside the what we can clearly refer to as a forest. So, and if people commit crimes and they're able to escape through the forest, then something has to be done. We get the police at times and call on them, look, these people were told they are in so and so forest, but their own case is that, look, they cannot go inside that place. And a number of times, we place reliance on our hunters, our vigilantes, who know this terrain so well. They are the ones that know, I mean, they live in this forest themselves. So when they go hunting at night, they can see what is happening in many places. So we felt that, look, we should have another form of policing, in addition to the community policing that the Nigerian police is bringing up. As you can see, the community policing, from what we understand, Nigerian police is trying to do, and from what we are told, is to be sure that within a community, you're able to recruit people that the others know, that everybody know, and that know the terrain very well. So it's almost akin to what Amotekun will be doing. But in our Amotekun case, we are going beyond that, because we are saying, look, we gather intelligence, we can exchange with our neighbors. You hardly can see the difference between Ondo State and Osun State. Hardly can you see any difference between Ekiti and Ondo State. So we are so contiguous that a number of crimes you commit here, it happens in many other states, but ours is so clear. You just see before you know something happened in Ondo, the culprits or the criminals had escaped to Ekiti, and seamlessly, because there's no border. Anyway, there shouldn't be any border between us, and we are brothers. So we felt that, look, something to be done, and we must do something far more than just community policing, but something far above that, and that will involve clearly intelligence gathering and intelligence sharing.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your opening comments. We'll return to you in the course of this conversation. Let's bring in now Deputy Inspector General of Police Ogunyowo. What is the idea of community policing as being espoused by Force Headquarters?
Thank you very much. Community policing, or what we regard as community-oriented policing, is a strategy whereby God-fearing, well-mannered and good-charactered members of a locality are expected to partner proactively with the regular police to secure the environment. So I don't see much different from what the governor of Ondo State is saying. If we really sit down to talk, that Amotekun system can be integrated into the government, just like the governor of Plateau said.
I'm wondering, I want to bring in Dr. Kabir Adamu here, and in asking my question, let me preface it with the comment made some time ago when we were discussing security issues. Professor Etanibi Alemika is a professor of criminology at the University of Jos, a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria. One day, when we were discussing this issue, he said, look, there's a conceptual difference between community police and community policing. Are we conflating the two? Are we seeing the Anambra State say they are recruiting some 8,000 persons now? You know, the village heads will recruit them, traditional rulers and all kinds of persons to form community police and community policing. What are we seeing? What is emerging?
Yes, I agree. There is a conflict of, I think, understanding of the concept of community policing itself and community police. Now, the example given by His Excellency, Operation Rainbow, as an example, can be categorized, Operation Amotekun, as community police. So segments of the community that have grouped themselves to support one or the other form of its policing or security generally, because we have to differentiate between policing and security itself, which is more encompassing. So anyone that is non-state, that has grouped himself or herself, as the case may be, to support security or policing, can be categorized as community police. But the community policing itself, at least the model that Nigeria wants to pursue, is state-driven. In other words, it is the police that would spearhead community policing. And it's not going to create a new outfit, as it were. No. Like the DIG mentioned, it will be a partnership between the police and the community to achieve a single purpose, which is peace and order within the society. And my understanding of it, based on what the IG of police has stated already, because let's go back a bit. This whole idea of community policing started with Course 40 of National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies that were directed, as it were, by President Buhari to look into the challenges of internal security and community, and come up with community policing models. And they came up with a beautiful research document, well documented. As far as I know, they traveled to 6 African countries and then 6 other countries across the world. Came up with this paper, presented it to Mr. President, who set up a committee, and the committee came up with a white paper. And that white paper was adopted as part of the revised National Security Strategy 2019, as well as the directive by Mr. President for community policing to be adopted. If we go back 2004 under former President Obasanjo, we experimented, quote and unquote, with community policing. And as far as I know, I stand to be corrected, about 18 police commands across the country experimented with that community policing model, where they created, I think, the PCRC model. So we've got a history where mistakes have been learned, as it were, and hopefully under this new model that we're going ahead with in 2020, some of these mistakes will be corrected. As an example, the whole philosophy of community policing is supposed to create structures. There are problem-solving techniques, and then more importantly, there are organizational changes that need to be associated with the implementation of the community policing model. So I'm hoping that going forward, the police, because this is purely a responsibility of the police. His Excellency has mentioned a couple of things in talking about Operation Rainbow. One of them, for instance, is the attempt to use the 2 fault lines that we have in the country, which is religion and ethnicity, to make nonsense of some of these policies, as it were. So I'm hoping that going forward, especially our leadership that would be charged with the responsibility, there are 2 levels that are very important in this model of community policing that we are going to pursue. Constables will be recruited, and I think that is currently ongoing. Then police community. Anyway, a committee will be created at the local government and at the state level. So that means the state leaders and community leaders will have responsibility to organize people together and put forward the communities that would now relate with the police. And that is where I think these 2 fault lines need to be carefully.
Community policing, is it new?
No.
It's really not new.
No, but this model, because there are different models of community policing.
I'm wondering, Kabir, pause. Let's pause you. Your Excellency, yes. I mean, what Kabir is explaining looks like some bureaucracy that is emerging. We're going to have, another bureaucracy. We will relate to another one. What is the idea that you have, for instance, or governors have, of community policing? Is it taken out of the white paper that the federal government has conceptualized, or you are facing your own security challenges head on?
Well, like I said, if you talk about funding, in most of the states, yes, police is supposed to be funded entirely by the federal government, but you find that most of these police are funded by state governors. You understand? And I was saying something, and I said, if somebody is funding something, then the person should be in charge. He who pays the piper will also dictate the tune. But that is not always the case. Because in some cases you find governors crying and saying, look, there was crisis here, but I send people to go there and address the issue. I think maybe the matter was became overwhelming on the police, and that is why they are getting those problems. And if those are some of the issues, the governors have said, let us also take this challenge. We must take this challenge since we do the funding. I gave an example of what we have as Operation Rainbow, entirely funded by the state government. We are funding them by the state government. Not that we are ignoring the police. The police was there. But what they were doing was to gather intelligence and to feed back the police, which was getting very effective at a point. And then secondly, not only gathering intelligence, as we were operating Operation Rainbow, we had the advice of setting up the early warning signals. We set up early warning signals. By early warning signals in many of the places, we had informants. People who are trained, they give them information on daily basis. At every hour, there is a problem. And in addition to that, when the US came and a lot of organizations from outside, they directed that instead of even waiting for police to take care, you do your own. And we set up the peace building. The peace building. Now, there was a synergy. The people who get information from outside, they will link up with the control room. That is at Operation Rainbow. Now, when there are challenges at Operation Rainbow, depending on the kind of problem, they will send peace building. Peace building will try to go there to settle the issue. If it is beyond them, police will be invited. And the entire Operation Rainbow was created and controlled by the Commissioner of Police, controlled also by the Commissioner of Police, but the final directive from Operation Rainbow operation is by the governor of the state, not by the federal. And so when you have this kind of thing, you know that you are also in charge of your police.
So you have absolute control.
Absolute control. I think people are talking about control and implementation.
You said at a point it was effective up to a point. At what point did
well, I will say that in my state, at a point where we are coming into election, that was where you see misinterpretation or misapplication of the real concept. Because people were now running helter-skelter. Now, when you come to implementation, people say, no. This Operation Rainbow is populated by an ethnic group, a religious group. We are afraid. We don't want this kind of thing. Or when there were crises, most of it, what we had was crisis between herdsmen and farmers. So if you see Operation Rainbow, some will start crying, no, we don't trust these people. We don't trust these people.
Okay.
And so those issues continued like that.
Okay, let me pause you again. Let's go to Akure, where His Excellency, Executive Governor of Ondo State, is joining us from. Your Excellency, you speak of Amotekun as if it was somewhat different from community policing or the philosophy of community policing. Does it have a distinctive structure and approach?
Well, it does. I mean, let's be clear. I listened to I think it's EIG that is in the studio there, which is suggested that maybe Amotekun can be subsumed under community policing. It should be the other way around. There's no way we will subsume Amotekun under community policing. What we have said is very clear. And we have made it very clear and in clear terms, even with our discussion with the Inspector General of Police. Yes, ours is collaborative. There's nothing wrong in that. But community policing is different. Community policing is one that can even be subsumed under Amotekun. If the IG is prepared to let go and leave us to do that. Because what my friend SB, that is the governor of Plateau State. I call him SB. What he has said, you can see clearly what we are trying to get at with Amotekun is that there will be a command, and that command will not be from Abuja. It's not going to be possible. The command will be with the state governor. Every state will have its own command. We are not running a regional feed, but that the command will be with us. We want to be in control of what is happening. Because it's not something we will subject to the Commissioner of Police or any other person or the brigade commander, but we will work together. But the command will be with the state governor or the state government. And just like we have in few of our states now, immediately the laws are passed, we have a command outfit. We have a particular place in the state where you have the command. And everything comes into that place and you now share it with other states that are within the Amotekun network. So for us, why it is quite different is that, look, we have always argued that, look, just like the governor of Plateau said, we cannot go every time from Abuja to give directives as to what will happen. It cannot work. And it has never worked. It's not working because it's too far. Abuja is too far from almost of the states. So the state commissioner of police itself at times will need to get to a zone to know what to do. And from zone, it goes to Abuja. Where are we going to wait? And by that time, somebody has gone away with children, with wives, with husbands and go, and they have been kidnapped. We are saying we want to pursue these people relentlessly and want to do that with all the force we have within us because we are here to safeguard and protect our people. And the security of lives and property is very important to us. So the Amotekun outfit is quite different, but it is collaborative. We will work with the police. Let me say this. Yeah, don't let anybody believe that this community policing is perfect. No. There's some, even the police is still trying to work out what they believe it should be. Are we going to pay? Is it going to be voluntary? Are they going to be like Saturday police? Are they constabularies? All these ideas are still coming up. So even how community policing is going to run is not very clear yet. But we are clear as to how Amotekun will run. So when they are ready, we will subsume them or we'll work with them. But community policing, clearly for me, as the Inspector General of Police has made us to understand, is more or less that, look, in your local government, it's suggested that that the Obas will be the commander-in-chief. And I said, Obas, and at times to come out and say, look, we won't be able to pay. It's going to be voluntary. We had argued that, and the IG said, okay, we're going to look at that again. I said, there's no way. You don't get anybody to come and work to volunteer now. Volunteerism is no longer in our blood in this part of the world. But we must force it one way or the other when the time comes that, look, people must be able to volunteer. But when you have to pursue criminals, it's not an easy thing to volunteer. People who ask for salaries. So we are looking at all those things, and we believe that, look, yes, community policing, if not properly handled, and people are remunerated, then it's going to be a failure. I can assure you. So I'm sure that the idea said is going to look into this. We're going to look at the issue of payment and and every other thing. But I must make myself very clear that, look, Amotekun Security Network is different, but it's a statewide organization, and the organization will link up and will have to share intelligence with neighboring states within the Western state. That's it.
All right, well, Your Excellency, I still would like you to respond to aspects of what you have said. Let us just say conceptually we are discussing community policing, and as a label, Amotekun is community policing, and a community police will have to fit into Amotekun, as you have indicated. But tell us something in terms of the idea of Amotekun. What would be the operational competence of the network? Mm-hmm.
The operational competence of the network, it will be as determined by the law setting it up. We're going to be backed by law. The laws are clear. The law provisions of the law are clear. So the law will give the competence, and there's nothing anybody can do about that. For as long as the law does not run foul of the Constitution, and we have looked into it, we have what we have done about the law to have our attorneys to work on this is to be sure that, look, it's a perfect law that nobody can fault. So its competence is derived from the law setting it up.
Okay, well, thank you very much. But are we just fighting shy here of saying state police?
No. This is not state police. we are not setting up any state police for now. There's no way we can do that. It's not provided for by law. It's not provided for by law. But the law is clear that, look, we can protect our people. My brother governor from Plateau spoke to you about rainbow. Rainbow, as the name as suggests, is because it has to be that you have the police, you have the civil defense, you have public military. It's a coalition. That's a rainbow coalition, and you can run that. And they did it successfully. That was not the state police too. We have there today joint task forces. But a number of times, our joint task forces are still under the control of the Commissioner of Police. And we are saying, look, if we want to collaborate with the Commissioner of Police and co. and work together, we must have an outfit that we trust that is totally under the control of the governor. And that's what my brother from Plateau has said, and I've tried to explain to you. So it's not state police. We don't have state police for now. We have this Amoteku Security Network is a network to protect the people within the state.
All right, thank you, Excellency. Executive Governor of Ondo State will still come back to you. But I'd like to ask His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, you are operating what we will probably call community policing. That's what you're doing.
Yes.
What is the level of involvement, of the police?
Well, like I mentioned, and I think that's our area of difference with what they are doing in the southeast. The southwest. Generally, police are saddled with the responsibility of internal security. Even when you operate a system, you don't give them guns. They don't have license to hold guns. So in our operation of Operation Rainbow, the entire Rainbow outfit is controlled by the Commissioner of Police. That's first. Now, in terms of funding, we have in our budget entire funding of Operation Rainbow. But in operations, we have a rainbow of security outfits. The Commissioner of Police will deploy mobile to the Operation Rainbow. The DSS will deploy mobile. Civil Defense will deploy mobile. So you have a lot of them. All of them carry arms. But in terms of operation, what we all do, the responsibility of the state is through the outfit gather intelligence and give it to the police. So those police that are with Operation Rainbow are the ones operating. Like he mentioned about the forest, all of them were considered. That's why they created this outfit about herdsmen farmers. No, under internal affairs, through civil defense. This outfit, the new outfit to control agro rangers. Okay. Yes, we have agro rangers. I am a member of the herdsmen farmers. We suggested that we must have agro rangers to control the policing in the bush. So those people, because security must be controlled centrally, at the central level. But ours in the state is to complement. And when you are complementing, in terms of funding, you have an outfit. That outfit does not give you the license to say you are going to do everything to ensure that you are in security. In that case, you know that in every state there are people who live, different kind of people, different people live in a state from different states. For instance, in Plateau State, you have different people from different states. My problem is the fear of implementation. Let us not take it and move it into a state policy. Let us move it into a state policy. So if you have control, let the police control. Because recruitment must be very, very clear. When you are doing the recruitment, it will be very clear. So certain aspects of the operation must also be very clear. Because you are not doing it, I am not doing it for Plateau people alone. There are a lot of people who live in my state. So that they must stand to be protected. Otherwise, tomorrow they see people. I've said this from example. Operations, because all the governors must come together. Let us come together and see what we are going to do if we really want to help ourselves. Rather than operating different kind of policing, and at the end of the day, we see ourselves getting in conflict with one another. So the best method, like I said, let them come out of that study. The law passed, when the law that was given to Plateau to pass on Operation Rainbow. The operation of Operation Rainbow, and like I said, we governors also have our fault. Because you give them license like that, at the end of the day, some governors will abuse it. That is certainly they will abuse it. But if we have to do this and we carry out, the screening and the recruitment must also be done with traditional rulers. We accepted that. that yes, before you take somebody from your community to even give him the opportunity to do that kind of work, the person must also be screened. That person must not be a criminal. Tomorrow you put a criminal and you find him somewhere operating as a criminal within the policing framework. So there are also those issues to be considered, and if this has to be considered, it has to be holistic. But above all, I'm also appealing to my brother. I told him one day, I said, look, you attempted to go to the military, you ran away. So don't create another one to be commander-in-chief. Chief, that is on a lighter mood. But then, this thing is going to help us because the military are now out. We're asking, when are they going back to the barracks? When are they going back to the barracks? Because they will go back to the barracks, they will leave us with the issue of security. The earlier, the better. We know that those who are saddled with this responsibility is the police. So if we have to enhance the capacity of the police and complement it with the neighborhood that we are talking about, the community policing, let it be a perfect one for operation everywhere. So that at the end of the day, when the military is back to the office, we know that we are now concentrating on the internal security, and which is everybody's business, including the governors, not only the president. We will also send funds, fund them, but when we fund them, let us also have some kind of authority, kind of authority on them. But if you say it's only the governor, what if they go astray? Who controls them? Who will control them? The commissioner of police is there. It means he has no business being in your state.
Yeah, Your Excellency, you raised one pertinent point. I'll come to that presently.
Yes.
That's to say that's why I asked your brother governor in Ondo the operational competence of Amotekun, but it says that it will be by law. So apparently the bill is still in the process. When it comes out, we'll know what the operational competence will be, and then how to resolve potential jurisdictional conflict between Amotekun, for instance, and the regular police. But I want to come back to DIG Ogunyowo. Listening to your explanation as to how community policing will function, I get a sense that we are virtually back to what we used to have in the 80s, and more particularly in the 90s, when armed robberies were common in urban areas, where you had the PCRO, so that is the Police Community Relations Committee. So how is this different now? Because if you look at the nature of crime and the terrain where crime occurs, is this model likely to work, considering what the Excellencies are saying?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first of all react to what the governor of Ondo State said. There is no how you can subdue a federal law under the state law. We must get that one clear. The issue of security is controlled with federal law. And I think the problem the Southwest governors have is that probably not wider consultation was done. As I stand, I am the DIG supervising Southwest, and I only heard of Amotekun on the pages of newspapers. So I think they still need to do a wider consultation. What we are saying is, we don't know with what are the personnel of Amotekun going to be operating. Are they going to be bearing weapons? The law definitely doesn't allow that one. If you are talking of people going into the bush, into the forest, there are people living in that locality, and that is what community policing is all about. If you have information to give police, if the Amotekun personnel can enter bush, the police can always enter the bush, the forest with them to tackle the security. There are localities, there are people in that locality that we believe should be employed, should fix into the special constabulary system that the Police Act under Section 49 and 50 establishes. And that is the model we are talking. Whatever system the Amotekun wants to operate should fiddle into that Section 49 and 50. We are not even sure of how the personnel of Amotekun were profiled. Like His Excellency said, you cannot allow criminals to be. In my definition of community police, I said God-fearing, well-mannered, and good character people. People who must police an area must reside under this community policing in that locality. And they must be profiled by the leaders of that place to be good-mannered and well-mannered people. And if we don't do that one, then we run into a problem. We run into a situation where we have criminals now policing our area. So who are the criminals going to police other than to continue to assist themselves? So that is one issue we must try to guide against, to ensure. That is why whoever is going to be part of a Amotekun network or whatever it's called must be profiled and must be allowed to operate within his locality in partnership with the regular police. That is what community policing is all about.
What happened to PCRC?
The PCRC is still going. In the appointment of special constables, the DPOs have been given directives to set up a committee that will include personnel of members of PCRC, religious leaders, NURT personnel, those in that locality. And whoever is going to volunteer, these are the people that will screen them. Not even the police. Police will only be a member there. They are the people who will screen. They know who and who. People who want to police an area must be resident there to know those who are there. And I think it is safer because criminals are not from heaven. They are not from the blues. They operate within us, and criminality is done within the locality. So that is why we are saying it's an initiative where the people are supposed to police the area, own the policing in the area, and secure their environment. And that is, I think, is easier way. And there is for them to take proactive action before even crimes are committed, because it is better you nip crime in the bud before it's committed. It's safer and more economical, and is less fatal than when crime is already committed.
Obviously. Dr. Kabira Damo, I'm wondering, this concept of community policing, does it give room for visibility of, members, of people that are, to serve? Because crime and criminality, it's no longer conventional. It's taken somewhat different dimension. And if we must look for ways to tackle, to address these issues, we must also go about it unconventional ways. So this one we're having operation this, operation that are overtly, people see them. Is it part of the techniques of community policing?
It's a philosophy, community policing. Like I said earlier on, we shouldn't expect a new Nigeria police force. No. Nigeria police force will remain. What will be different is now that the community would lead policing.
Must they be seen? Must they come into a group?
So there are levels. In my opening statement, I mentioned the state level, and he corroborated that when he said the DPOs have been charged to create community policing committees. Now, those committees would have at the state level and at the community level. Now, that is the structure you would see. However, policing as a method has different ramifications. Some of them are visible, and then some of them are not visible. So intelligence gathering, as an example, which is a philosophy or technique of policing, would have different methods. We know the CID, but do we know the operations of the CID? Some of them are visible to us, some of them are not visible. Technology can have different ramifications and support for policing as well. Now, there are so many things that we'll have to do. Remember in my opening statement, I mentioned that the organizational structure of policing will have to change to accommodate community policing. And at this stage, I would like to recommend to especially our excellencies, Governor Lalong and that of Ondo State, to study the Lagos model. It's a very interesting model that I'll recommend to the entire 36 states and Abuja. They set up the fund.
Security
Trust Fund, exactly. It's a very interesting model. As the industrial security expert, I've studied that model and I will recommend it. What they have done is that, unlike, and I don't mean to throw any shade on the police, currently we're paying money to the police, but there is no way of auditing that money. What Lagos has done is that they have created a structure and a platform to accommodate monies that are coming into security, actually, not just the police. And interestingly, the equipment that model has is unrivaled by any state in Nigeria. His Excellency has admitted to the fact that his state has APCs, and the DIG can tell us how many APCs does the police have. Lagos State has helicopters under that fund. So I think it's a model that needs to be studied. But before Kingsley, I would really want to read a recommendation by the 2018 report of National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies that is instrumental to the discussion, especially the contribution by His Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State. They recommended that under the National Security Council, that platform should work with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to seek judicial interpretation of the provisions of Section 11, subsection 2, item 45 of the exclusive list of the Constitution, with a view to determining the extent of the powers of state governments to establish security agencies. This was in 2018. We're in 2020 and we're still having this argument. And remember, I said this was developed into a white paper endorsed by the presidency. So I recommend to His Excellency and the Governor of Ondo State to move for that platform, the National Security Council, to have an interpretation of this. Otherwise, this argument will continue. And like I said, our two fault lines, ethnicity and religion, is likely to be exploited by these state-level agencies that were being created.
Well, there's one point that I would like us to address. It looks like an aside, but I think it's virtually central, because in terms of looking at the framework for providing security for us, and my question is going to Kapi. We hear, okay, community police members or members of the community police will help in intelligence gathering. Amotekun, will also help in intelligence gathering and then pass it on. But I thought that one of the primary roles of what we used to know as NSO, which grew out of the police and then became SSS and is now DSS, that is his primary responsibility. There's supposed to be no local government area, no major market, no major location, no major media organization where you will not find, find them with their eyes and their ears, gather this intelligence for operational purposes. So, I mean, the question to ask on the face of it, therefore, would be, this is a question I'm posing, it's probably academic, has the DSS failed in that mandate, or has the DSS now been shunted to other duties that it is now failing, and we are looking for extraordinary measures such as Amotekun or Operation Rainbow, community police to be gathering basic intelligence for operational purposes to flush out the bad guys?
Not even just that. Maybe they are overwhelmed, probably.
No, my conception of it is this. Our national security architecture is the issue. There are, to my knowledge, about 27 MDAs and other security departments that should be involved in the provision of security in the country. But over time, I think there is a constitutional lacuna, unfortunately, and some of it is a history of our military past and then our colonial past, that by now, the legislation that gave powers to these bodies should have been amended so that the issue of overlapping will be corrected, issue of resourcing will be corrected. Unfortunately, that hasn't been done over subsequent years. So we found ourselves at a situation. One other key element is the appointment of the leadership of those organizations. There is a political aspect to the appointment of their leadership. And that means, for instance, I'm sorry, for lack of a better word, tenure elongation is one of their primary focuses against national interest. So it lies with the formation of our national security architecture. And unless we have enhanced coordination, the National Securities Act of 2010 provides for the appointment of a coordinator of national security. What we have currently is about 4 key institutions that are coordination national security. The most common one that everybody knows is the Office of the National Security Advisor. And recently you've seen a letter written by him arguing that's not our remit of discussion. But my point is, unless we enhance coordination within the national security architecture, where all these 27 organizations that I mentioned are working with one sole purpose, which is the projection and protection of our national interest, then these issues that we're talking about will continue. The SSS is doing its best, but then who reads this intelligence? Who implements the intelligence? I've been told in a forum that there is no time Boko Haram will be attacking, that intelligence will not be available.
Let's pause you on that frame of thought, Kabira Damo, security and risk management expert. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and today we're looking at community policing and, of course, the wisdom in it. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll read out your tweets. All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria. We've got a number of tweets. Let's quickly take them. I'll begin with Smart. It says, community policing will surely go a long way in curtailing incessant killings because it has to do with the immediate neighborhood.
Now, Festus Akimboyewa tweets in part, say, heinous crimes have been with us for a long time, but they have gotten terribly worse because they have not been tackled effectively. The time for community policing is now.
All right, Sunny Michael Omako just says, our problem is not proliferation of security apparatus, but it's about giving capacity to the current police force. Employing more police officers and deploying them to their villages is not different from community policing. Some governors will definitely abuse community policing.
Amokbola Babs says, what is expected of our policymakers is to draw a framework in line with the national security architecture with a view to ensuring that politicians and the state do not abuse it.
And Oladimeji Morufu says it's quite imminent to have community police, community policing. Well, he says community police. We must not politicize it.
Law Alpha C, my fear is that the force, that's community police, will lose some form of credibility, professionalism, respect, and general efficiency.
Okay, this is an additional one coming from Omobola Babs. No one knows the terrain of a geographical location more than the inhabitants of such area. The locals understand more and better the environment, so they know their neighborhood. They know people who are productively engaged and those who loiter and may portend danger or evil.
Now, Neil Lane tweets, now, community policing created for the good of citizens, that's fine. But the greatest problem here is that they will be created by politicians and they will be under politicians who will use them for politics.
All right, and Abdul tweets, community policing used to be an effective security innovation during the native authority days. We can still engage the services of our traditional institutions. Also considering the growing population, we can make it work if a lot of personnel are engaged and are well paid.
All right, this is coming from Francis Obi. It says community policing is a welcome development, but the present police force should be remodeled to avoid conflict of interest.
All right, Dele Jack Solomon tweets, policing agencies in Nigeria are unlikely to be successful in creating partnership to address crimes and violence until they establish trust relationships with the communities they serve. This they must do to have an effective and efficient policing of our communities.
Now, Thomas Umbango tweets, the benefits of community policing cannot be overemphasized. However, the cause should not make us overlook the challenges involved, issues of inadequate funding and politicization.
And Mohammed Usman says, community policing, if and only if it's not hijacked by politicians, will be the best way for curbing crime in our society.
And talks Oladende, I reckon our security operatives will be well integrated into their areas of operation in a situation where they serve at pleasure of and lean on their traditional rulers and community or elected officials. All
right. Again, Talks says, with community policing, I expect the use of local political platforms to boost intelligence gathering. Our political bodies are relevant and crucial in security. Just as politics is local, so is security.
Hassan Adamu, community police is a welcome development, but most governors, he says, will abuse it by using the police against their opponents.
All right, Chris Simeon says, the creation of community police will be for the benefit of every Nigerian. The current security challenges befalling the country is pathetic, so the establishment of community policing or regional security outfit is paramount.
Bashiru, community policing is largely intelligence-driven. It may complement efforts of the security agencies, but given our poor record of handling intelligence, are we confident that those tasked with it will not compromise and put informants at risk?
Okay, again, Chris Simeon says this is very important. Very important. People who will be recruited into community policing must be people of good character and free from criminal records. By so doing, community policing will wax stronger. God bless Nigeria.
Abbas Idris, community policing should reflect the involvement of communities in securing their environment. They should be recruited and supervised by traditional rulers and community leaders in order to checkmate and instill discipline.
And Keju Olagboju says community policing is not the same as state police and cannot cope with the level of insecurity at hand. The entire federal structure of police should be decentralized to give way to state police commands, while the federal police command should attend to internal security.
Nandom Wuyep, community policing is a prudent step, and I think one other way to tackle the insecurity is that the armed forces, security and law enforcement agencies, and government in its wisdom need to also look is to identify the frenemies amongst them. Frenemies, that's slang. Well, I just to return to their excellencies. First, the executive governor of Ondo State, who is still with us via Skype from Akure, the Ondo State capital. Learned Senior Advocate Rotimi Akeredolu. Listening to the tweets and indeed the comments by the other two guests in the studio, there are a number of matters arising. But I would like you to respond to this. I mean, some persons would argue that when we get to the bridge, we will cross it. But there is the fear of potential abuse of internal security arrangements, whether community police or state police, and that we have to go back to the First Republic to see, for instance, how internal security organizations were abused, particularly political opponents were at the receiving end of the misuse of those authorities. What are the guarantees that now in the Fourth Republic, in its almost 21st year, things might be different?
Thank you. Let me, you raised a few issues. And let me address, firstly, I'll go to what you said, but let me touch on what the DIG said about issue of consultation. Maybe he's new on this desk. So if he feels that he does not know what we are doing, then it is new. We had a security summit attended by a DIG, that's Taiwo Lakano, and so many other policemen. We all sat down to discuss. And in a few of the things we have been doing, the IG is aware of it. So if he claims he's not aware, then that would be his own cup of tea. So to say that we didn't make consultation will be very wrong. So you have to correct that. Full consultations were made. They were part of the summit. We arrived at conclusion together. All of us came back. We had our commissioner of police involved in what we are doing. So to raise issue of consultation will be totally wrong. Then they have raised issue about profiling. When you talk about profiling those who are coming into Amotekun or to any other thing, is it suggesting to us that they don't profile those who come to the police? Because the character he's talking about is not found anywhere. Talking about men of character, stressing issues that you cannot do yourself. Profiling, yes, we'll profile those who come into Amotekun, we'll do it properly as expected. But it's not for people who are lacking in it to come and tell us what to do. No, not the way you run the police, that you not want to suggest to us what to do. But the other point you made, so many things have been said, the tweets you receive and everything, for me, maybe one of the key important things there is that, look, the time, let us plan ahead to have a decentralized structure. To have one structure to command the police in Nigeria cannot be the right thing to do. It's not possible. This country is big. This country is big, wide. So I've always argued that there must be this multiple policing structure of police that will include state, federal, and co. But it might not be. It must be something that will sit down properly thought out. But those who are suggesting that, when you have, if you have state police, you have so and so, governors are prone to abuse it. How? It's quite possible. I'm not saying it won't happen. But if it happens, it will happen for some time. The people will insist at the point in time to have proper structure of police that no governor can abuse. So just as people will say to us that, look, the police we have today can be abused by those in command of it. They do it, but that is not. We have had situations where, for instance, I'll give an example. Look at what happened in Anambra in the days of Ngige. His policemen were withdrawn. It was a serving governor. That was an abuse. But that cannot happen under this regime now. The president now will not do such a thing. So let us be very, very careful. There are things some people will do that some governors agree, might decide to abuse it, but not all governors. Why would you have to abuse the police? If you have, for instance, you have a state police, governors must abuse use of that police. That would be wrong. That would be too general. Don't generalize such statement that, look, yes, as I said, it could happen. I'm not saying it cannot happen. But just like you have it abused by the federal in some instances, I've given instance of Igige. these policemen were withdrawn. There are many people that it happened to. The moment you have against the federal, not maybe it didn't happen this time around. The moment you have against the federal, particularly in some years back, about before the APC came to office, so we are against the federal, the policemen will be withdrawn. The governments will be left at the mercy of these marauders. So that's what I was saying. So for me, yes, fear might be well founded. What I've always said is that let us be more concerned about the use to which you can put them, not the abuse of that establishment. No, it might happen, but we will get over it with time. Thank you.
All right, Your Excellency, still staying with you in Akure, the third tier of government, which is the local government, is supposed to be, the tier that is closest to the people. And we also know that in the past, traditional rulers also wielded great influence and power. And of course, they were used, to address several issues. Are we saying in this new setup, are we deliberately or by omission leaving out these critical people who should play critical role in security in our communities?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much that you brought this out. If you look at the laws, for instance, setting up a Amotekun security network, the traditional rulers have a great role to play. We have involved them in everything. They are even going to part of one of their members, whether at State Council of Obas, whether it's going to be at least as part of the governing council of the Amotekun. So we are involving the traditional rulers in everything, because in the situation where we have found ourselves, there is no way traditional rulers will not be involved, because we are talking about crime that has become local somehow, and we need people who know the terrain to assist. And we believe that, look, just as a state governor, I stay in Akure, how many places can I see at the same time? But I've always believed that, look, that whether we like it or not, Obas should be involved in a security network, because they are the closer to the people. And remember, we at a meeting in which I said, KBSs, you are the ones that will call these people, advise them, and you will know people who come to your area who are new. You can always alert the Amotekun security network. Somebody has just come into this place, is new. Some people are gathering here, they are building new houses, or new, not really house, but you have this shack. People just move into your territory and building shack. The Oba will know. Is people, the hunters will come and inform him and say, this is happening here. We met some people in the bush. So then the informers will go there immediately and see what we can do. So there is no way we can run, for instance, I call it even the community policing, or you can run the Amotekun without the Obas. And even the IG says so. The last meeting we had, the Obas were there. The IG placed so many responsibility on their head, just like we would do under Amotekun. It's just that our law provides for them and accommodates Oba in what we do.
Executive Governor of Ondo State. Let's come back now to Right Honorable Your Excellency. May I borrow the phrase from Akeredolu, Governor of call you SD Lalong.
Because we are SB.
All right, well, Your Excellency, the issue of potential politicization of community police,
yes,
is trying to secure our environment. How can we overcome this? And in particular, back again to the question of operational competence. How might the two, let's say, assuming there are two agencies now, one state-based or community-based, then the other federal police, how should they interact? Clearly, somebody will suggest, for instance, on no account must you have any community policeman involved in election matters. But how would you, suggest that this relationship be managed?
Okay, first of all, let me say that, let me answer the suggestion by Dr. here, yes, that the Lagos model was very good in terms of funding. We agreed to the Lagos model, and all of us, when we made the presentation, the policy presentation by the APC earlier, I think was it last year when we had a conference at the Villa, All of us agreed. We said no. Because first of all, you must fund the police. You must put them, build their capacity to the extent. Because crime is taking a new dimension. Technology otherwise is coming up. And then Lagos model was introduced. We all agreed. That was where the business community accepted. I was very happy with because Dangote was representing the business community. He said, now that we've agreed, the business community will bring half of the funds. If the federal and state governments will bring the other half. As it is now, at the state level, we are ready. We are waiting for federal government. Let us know what we are supposed to contribute. Business community will bring half of it. We'll adopt the Lagos model in terms of funding. Now, coming back to the application, I will still say that I gave a law of Operation Rainbow to the Southwest governors. I said, study that law. And let us see how to move together. Because we don't want situations where, like I mentioned, this is Nigeria. People live in your place. I don't want people to come with fears that the purpose of this law is to excise many of those people. I am the governor, I'm the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. I've raised those fears to some of them. I said, look, let us not begin to say we are creating outfits differently. Let us harmonize our position, because all we are trying to do is to ensure that we have perfect security in the nation. But the laws of the federal supersede those of the states. These laws were granted to states by the federal government. Federal government woke up and said, look, go and craft a law by your state assembly, but bring that law. We'll look at it and we accept. That was when Jonathan was the president. We did the law from the Plateau State. We sent it to the federal. Federal looked at it, amended the law, and then perfectly we came back. They signed the law and we were operating the law. Now, part of what my colleague is saying, I have seen it. It's experience, I've seen it. 7 months they were not paid. 7 months. When salaries of civil servants were not paid in the state, the Operation Rainbow were not paid. And so security got scattered in the state. Imagine that you employ people today in an outfit, tomorrow you are not paying them. That's what the president raised, and he raised before all of us. He said, when you have challenges of payment of salaries here and there, is it proper to go and start setting outfits, security outfits, and some of you will claim that you will arm them. Tomorrow you can't pay them salaries. So, and they are there, they are armed. What will happen? So these are issues that we will take it holistically. By the time they bring those laws, let us come back together. Because as you are implementing, you should also know that there are a lot of people from the north, there are a lot of people from the southeast that are also there in your place. They have some concerns and fears. So let's look at those concerns together before we start implementing. If police is saying, we mentioned too, issue of synergy. We don't know who is saddled with responsibility. Let it be very clear that this is the outfit that is saddled with the internal security of the nation, so that we can all key in. We have, like governors, today in every government house, you have security, you have SSS, you have civil defense, you have everybody, you have the army. So you don't know which one is in charge. You have a crisis. You come back, you say you are asking for reports. Everyone is looking at each other. Where is the arrest? No arrest. This one has information, is holding it to himself. The other one has information, is holding it to himself. And at the end of the day, no arrest. I took an example when I did last time, when I had in my state, when there was crisis, 3 days they were killing. Commissioner of Police came and gave me a briefing. I said, I'm not interested in briefing. How many arrests have you made? All of you are here outfits. No arrest. I said, what is this? No arrest, no information, nothing. So what I did was, I said, let me go back to the operation of my Operation Rainbow, because we earlier agreed that community leaders or arrows, if it is Fulani farmers, herdsmen and communities, I hold you responsible. What did I do? I said, okay, all of them, the community leaders and the arrows should be arrested. All of them were arrested. Now they are giving information. They will say, we know those who are there on that side. This one will say, we know those. This is the kind of thing that we want. So it's unfortunate that we are not saddled with the responsibility of ordering arrests in that kind of manner. But we had to do it because it's like there is already a failure of a system. I must admit that. The system is failing. So if the system is failing, we are adopting an approach that the communities will also be in charge of their security. They cannot be the ones just to go and start arresting people, but they will be able to have an atmosphere where they are free to give out information about certain incidents of crimes in their place. And when they give those information, let the governor be the first. Let the governor be the first, because I cannot wait when I'm funding, I'm giving everything, to say that information are coming, they say no. And in some cases, I must admit, the information they give governors is different from the information they will give at the Abuja, at the federal. Let us all admit all these are issues. And if there are issues, I am saying that let us sit down together, let the governors give their experiences, and let the federal government come. We are ready. Like I said, we took a position in the north. In the north and from the north central to the north, that we are ready to key into community policing, knowing the dangers of what we're saying. Because by the time you start, you will not know. Tomorrow you will see people, not will say, even motorcycle. A lot of people wrote to me and said, no, the purpose of motorcycle was to drive away northern people away. I said, no. It's a thing that is happening everywhere, in every state. You need time to explain. Because of this lack of confidence now in the security of the nation, lack of confidence in the lack of synergy within the security apparatus itself, definitely we need more to do than just moving back to our place and maybe thinking about outfits that eventually, I'm sorry to say, people will say, will make us turn it into state police. If we want state police, let it be very clear that we want state police. If federal government is going to give state police, but the operation of what I have, just 3 days ago, before we did the community policing in myself, I took all into consideration, and I set up an 18-man committee to consider and look at the operation of the community policing in my state. All the organizations were taken into consideration. The civil society was there, they are part of it, the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, the women folk, even disabled. Because all of them, police are there, the army is there, civil defense are there, SSS are there. An 18-man committee, I said within 1 month, draw out a framework and give it to me as a governor. And let me see how to operate and community policing to support the police and also to enhance the capacity of our Operation Rainbow. We already have it as law. So nobody, the police, the federal is not quarreling with us because they gave us that law. Okay. And the only thing is that, like I said, is let us also check. Let us not think that the governors are perfect. I know what happened in my state. Why was it not working? Why was it not working? Why, even when federal government gave us that thing, later federal government brought in Operation Safe Haven. Again, brought in Operation Safe Haven to take over. So we don't want situations where they will start Amotekun and tomorrow they bring another operation, military operation to take over. Let us do something that will outlive our stay in government and to be sure that it is also gaining the confidence of all within the society so that the security, the issue of security can be addressed.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kabir Adamo, very briefly, your closing thoughts on this issue. I mean, you can see a number of security agencies are working in silos. You talked about lack of coordination, which is very key. But I was just wondering, I mean, from just the perspective of human relations, if state governments decide to proceed with community policing and therefore community police, which will require their own funding, chances are that they might therefore cut back on their current funding to the police. I mean, you have, it's an open secret, and they provide that. Is this likely to also affect, the relationship between the police and the community police? Because if Amotekun is doing all the work, let's use the Southwest as an example. If Amotekun is doing the work and bringing information back, will the police not likely say, since you are the people who do the, go and finish the work now?
Very briefly, please. Yeah, earlier on I mentioned monitoring and evaluation. Police needs to take responsibility for internal security. There is no running away from this. And our governors at the level of National Security Council need to drive that. So that will address this issue. Because if the IG knows that if crime is increasing, and there is a failure of internal security, that he will be held responsible. Even if the funding is cut, he has to find a way to support those operations. That is one. Two, there are several channels of revenue that are currently going into the police. And like I said, perhaps the Lagos model needs to be adopted, and this needs to be also embraced by the IG of police. So in other words, no matter the level of diversion of funds that the governors do, it should not take away from the police their ownership of responsibility for internal security.
All right, thank you, Kabiru Adamu. We've got a number of tweets. I don't know if we can quickly rush through them and before we say our goodbyes. This one is coming from Abba Abdullahi. He says, people have a lot of information to give the police, but the fear of being exposed makes them not to. The police need to hide the identity of the informant so they can have no fear of being attacked by the security operatives.
This is coming from Deme Gideon. It says, Governor Lalong, tell him I'm happy with his idea of how community policing should be, but they should please take the recommendations by Kabir Adamu in the studio on Lagos State. I think the governor has already commented on that. Yes.
And of course, others here, Charles, Deme, Prince, Formula 12. We thank you, all of you, for your tweets, and let's quickly appreciate all our guests. Let me begin with His Excellency Simon Bako Lalong, Executive Governor of Plateau State and Chairman Northern Governors Forum. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Peter Babatunde Ogunyawo, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Research and Planning. Thank you very much, sir. Kabir Adamu, Security Risk Management Expert. Thank you. And of course, the last but certainly not the least, from Akure, His Excellency Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Rotimi Akeredolu, Executive Governor of Ondo State. Many thanks to you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so that does it for us today and indeed for the week on Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you for being with us. We're back on Monday, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, enjoy your weekend. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurazak. From all of us here, have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
The concept of unity depicts itself as the unwavering oneness, togetherness, and undivided coherence of a group of people with respect to our differences. In a multicultural Nigeria, where progress is the goal of every sector, political group, and ethnic region, unity is paramount and a key factor to building the Nigeria of our dreams. Therefore, let us all disregard our differences and